Because when he's up in the space stations, what is he talking about? Everyday human experience. What it's like to be terrified out of your freaking mind. What it feels like to miss your family. What it feels like to be confused and not know what to do next. What it feels like to gaze at something that just makes you speechless. Something that makes you so proud. All that stuff, the basic human experience. And he just happens to be in the space station, right? Which adds something cool to it, but it's about the human connection. So you could be the first person on Mars, but you have to connect with the human beings that are reading it. That's what it, if not, then you know what it is? Then it's a report. Yes? It's a report. It's factually correct. It is full of information, but there's no heart in it. You got to have the heart in it too. You know, they say, you know, like heart and mind, all of it working together. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's talk about the pearl necklace again. When people say, I don't know how to start thinking about pearl necklace, what the heck does that mean? I'll tell you what, I've cooked up this little thing. Ready? Writing life story memoir is like creating a pearl necklace. Okay? So you can, if you want to write this down, it's up to you. Here's the steps. That's it. It's that simple. How do I write a memoir? It's like making a pearl necklace. Here it goes. Gather the tools you need. Anybody shucked an oyster? In your life? Yeah. Anybody went to the garden to get vegetables? It's the same thing, different. Gather the tools you need. Your tools might be, you know, a computer to write on. It might be a typewriter. It might be a pad of paper and a pencil. It could be the tools. The tools could also be your writing group, a workshop you're taking on writing, going to a writing conference, checking out resources online, which there's a trillion and a zillion of them. Gather the tools you need. Dive down deep. Dive down deep. Because remember, when you make a pearl necklace, if you were to dive down into the water, would there be a pearl necklace lying, you know, on a shelf like a foot below the surface? Not so much. Think of gold panning. It's that arduous. Dive down deep. You need to go to the bottom of your stuff. You need to go to your goods. And that's where all the good stuff lies. Below the surface, down deep. People say to me, I want to write my memoir about this thing that happened. And I say, so, what is it about? And they say, well, this happened and that happened and that happened. I said, okay, that sounds kind of cool and interesting. But that's your plot. That's stuff that happens. But what's your book really about? What's your memoir about? And that stumps people often. And that is always our challenge, is to really figure out what's this story about, not what happens. Those are two different things. What happens is plot. What your story about is the heart of the story. What is at the heart of your story? What is it about? Is it the triumph of the human spirit? Is it, no matter how hard you try, you're going to get kicked in the bum anyway? I mean, whatever it is, what is at the heart of that story? Because what that leads to next is, how is this of benefit to the reader? Because here's the deal. When you're writing in your journal, who are you writing for? You. It's for you. It's for your understanding, your insight, your healing, all kinds of stuff. And I would always urge people to journal like crazy. But a journal is not a manuscript. Okay, does that make sense? Mm-hmm. The journal is not a manuscript. I've worked with people who just want to cut and paste from their electronic journal and cut and paste it onto a, manuscript format and just publish it like that. Yes, indeed. And I say, well, you know, your journal work is absolutely insightful and wonderful, and in time, in word crafting, it will become a manuscript. It's like a baby manuscript. It's not a grown-up manuscript yet. And the big difference is a journal is for you, for your benefit. The manuscript is for whose benefit?
Reader.
The reader. That's it. Couldn't get more simple than that, huh? So always come back to that. What is at the heart of this story? What is a benefit to the reader? Yeah, exactly. Because that's who it is for. Once you go away from that preliminary work, that sort of journal work, the first draft stuff, once you start to fashion it and work it and shine it, then it's for the reader. So when people, I say, so of what benefit is this to the reader, do you think? And they'll say, because I want them to know what happened. And I said, yes.
What's what enhancing the truth?
Can we go to that one right after this? Thank you. Remind me, yeah, because there is a thing about truth, fiction, all that. It's very important.
Notice I said enhancing.
Yes. And it's important to know the difference. Exactly. Okay, so, where was I? Remember the thought line? What was I just saying?
Benefit.
Thank you. So that's the benefit of the reader is of primary importance. They say, so that they know, and I said, how's that going to help them? So they know what happened to me. I said, so how will that help them? Do you see where I'm going? Yeah. So when I'm working with somebody, I will ask them that question. I'm relentless. I'm like a Chinese water torture. Drip, drip. How is this going to be of benefit to the reader? What is this story really about? And you know, I can always see it in the people's eyes when they go, oh, boring, and they get it. And they get what the story's really about, and they get what the benefit of the reader is. So that's absolutely critical. And that may take time. It may take numerous drafts, and then it comes to light. Does that work? Or sometimes you have it in mind, you have it in mind already. And so you write towards that goal, because you already know what you want this to be a benefit about. That makes sense? Yes?
Could you give us a couple of examples or samples of an answer to that question? What is the benefit to the reader?
Yes. Do you want me to use like my own book, or that's what comes to?
Anything, it's just
okay.
that.
I can tell you exactly.
Right now it's an interesting question, but
Sure,
I'm not
absolutely.
guessing what comes out as an answer.
Yeah, so an example would be, I mentioned that the little story, big story, here's my experiences, set within this great drama that's been playing itself out for, by the way, about 10,000 years, but we're just talking the last 200 and mostly the last 30. Okay? So the benefit of the reader is to learn about all of the players that are on that stage, and that's what I work towards in a subtle way, is to give each player, the sports fishermen, the fish farms, you know, the commercial fishermen, the net fisheries, all this stuff, the land claims, you know, the forestry industry, give them fair play. So that, I can say, is the benefit to the reader in that particular way, is that people will understand what was going on out there, climate change, all of it. But that, and that was all woven into sort of the day-to-day stuff about what's going on out there and how I felt about it. So I perceive that as a significant benefit to the reader. People really learned what that world is about. People are shocked. They have said, I had no idea.
I see, so it might not be the reason a person picks up the book or is attracted to it, but it's what they end up with.
It could be. Sometimes it's very focused. Somebody might say, for instance, somebody might be very interested in females in non-traditional working roles. So they might buy it for that purpose. And then this other stuff comes along too. So it's, you know, it needs to, your writing needs to be very multi-layered, very rich, very dense, like, so that your reader's got a lot to chew on. Does that answer your question?
Helps.
Vanished? Yeah, to a point. Okay.